Have you ever felt so tired of learning English, ready to give up completely, only to discover that one short meeting with a stranger on a cold Danish bench could change your confidence, your courage, and maybe even your life? Cold morning in Copenhagen. Picture this, a gray Copenhagen morning, the kind where the sky looks like it hasn't woken up yet. The air bites your cheeks, and your breath comes out in little clouds that disappear too fast. You pull your jacket tighter, but the cold still seeps in, the way doubt seeps into your mind when you think about your English. You're tired. Tired of practicing, tired of repeating words that never sound right, tired of talking to yourself in the mirror while the world seems to move ahead without you. Your notebook is stuffed with half-written phrases, and your phone is full of English learning apps you've stopped opening. Today feels like one of those mornings when quitting almost sounds like relief. So you sit down on a wooden bench in a quiet park. The wood is cold, almost icy, and it sends a shiver straight through you. Around you, Copenhagen moves slowly, bicycles glide past, someone walks their dog, a tram hums in the distance. Life goes on, but for you, everything feels paused. You sit there, staring at your shoes, thinking, maybe I'll never get it. Maybe English just isn't for me. Psychologists call this moment learned helplessness. When your brain gets so used to failure, it starts believing success isn't possible, even when it is. And right now, your brain is whispering, why bother? But here's the irony, benches have a funny way of becoming crossroads. They look like places to stop, to rest, but often, they're where stories begin. You don't know it yet, but this cold Copenhagen morning, this heavy bench beneath you, is about to hand you something your textbooks never could, a human moment that shifts everything. It starts with silence. And it won't stay that way for long. A stranger appears. The bench feels heavier when you sit alone, as if it's holding not just your body but every unfinished sentence you've ever tried to say in English. Then, without warning, the wood shifts slightly beneath you. Someone else has sat down, you glance sideways. A stranger. A man, or maybe a woman, wrapped in a thick scarf, their face half hidden from the cold Copenhagen wind. They don't look at you directly. They just sit, calm, steady, as if the bench had always been theirs too. The space between you suddenly feels both crowded and wide open at the same time. Your brain does its usual trick. It panics. Should I say hello? No, too awkward. What if I say it wrong? What if they laugh? The voice of fear is louder than the morning traffic, louder than the birds scratching at the frost. You stay silent, gripping your gloves, hoping invisibility works better than conversation. But here's the funny thing about silence. It's not empty. It's loaded. Scientists say that when two people share silence, the brain starts scanning for connection. Your neurons fire off questions like little sparks. Who are they? Are they safe? Do I belong here? Even without words, your body is already in conversation. The stranger shifts again, crosses their legs, and pulls a book from their bag. The cover is in English. Just one glance at the title is enough to make your heart stumble. It's as if the universe has placed a test directly on your bench. Your hands itch. Your mouth feels heavy. You wonder if your first words should finally break free, but for now, you sit. Two strangers, one bench, a silence thick enough to slice. The kind of silence that dares you to either run, or to speak. Shared silence. The minutes stretch like chewing gum, slow and sticky. You sit there, side by side, not talking. At first, it feels like torture. Every second is a reminder of the English words piled up in your throat, stuck behind the fear of sounding foolish, yet something curious happens. The silence begins to soften. The stranger doesn't look impatient. They don't sigh, roll their eyes, or make you feel like you should leave. They simply exist beside you, like the quiet rhythm of a bicycle wheel or the gentle sway of the bare trees around the park. It's strange, isn't it? Silence with a stranger can feel less lonely than silence alone. Psychologists call this social presence. Your brain relaxes just by being near another human. Even without words, oxytocin, the bonding hormone, trickles into your system, lowering your stress like warm tea seeping through cold hands. You find yourself breathing easier. Your shoulders drop a little. The icy bench doesn't feel quite as sharp anymore. And in that calm, a small thought sneaks in. Maybe I don't have to speak perfectly. Maybe just trying is enough. The stranger flips a page in their book. You notice again, it's English. The letters glow against the gray morning, almost mocking you, almost inviting you. You imagine what it would be like to ask about it, to say even one word. The silence has carried you this far. Could it carry your voice too? The cold air swirls, waiting. Your heart beats faster. A choice is forming, and it has only two directions. Stay silent and safe, or open your mouth and risk everything. For now, the silence still holds. But not for long. First words in English. Your mouth feels like it's full of stones. Heavy, awkward, impossible to move. The book in the stranger's hands keeps flashing in your mind like a neon sign. English, English, English. You know this is the moment. Either you speak, or you'll walk away later, haunted by regret. So you inhale, sharp and shaky. The kind of breath you take before jumping into cold water. And then, out it comes. Two words. Simple, broken, but alive. Good morning. It hangs there in the frosty air, fragile as glass. You almost wish you could snatch it back, hide it, pretend you never spoke. Your brain starts screaming. Was it clear? Did I sound stupid? Oh no, oh no, oh no. But here's the twist. Saying it doesn't kill you. Your body is still here. The sky hasn't collapsed. The bench hasn't swallowed you whole. In fact, something surprising happens. Your pulse slows just a little. Psychologists call this the exposure effect. When you face a fear, even in the smallest way, your brain rewrites its story. See? You survived. You can do it again. The stranger turns their head, just slightly. They've heard you. Your stomach flips like a dropped pancake. Their eyes are curious, not cruel. They tilt their head, lips parting as if the silence has finally broken. You swallow hard, waiting. This is it. The moment you've been dreading, and secretly hoping for, and then, the response comes. Unexpected response. The stranger looks at you, and for a terrifying half-second, you're sure they'll laugh. But instead, their face softens. A smile spreads, gentle, warm, the kind that feels like sunlight breaking through the Copenhagen clouds. Good morning, they reply. 2 words, clear and steady, echoing yours back like a mirror. Not mocking. Not correcting. Just answering that it's shocking how powerful such a tiny exchange feels. Your chest loosens, like someone just unlocked a door you'd forgotten was there. This is what psychologists call positive reinforcement. The brain loves rewards, even small ones. A smile, a reply, a nod, they all light up your dopamine pathways like fairy lights strung across a dark street. And the best part? The stranger doesn't stop there. They tilt the book slightly, showing you the cover. It's a good story, they add, still in English. Their accent isn't perfect either. In fact, you can hear little slips, little stumbles. They're human. Just like you. Something flips inside you. For weeks, maybe months, you've been trapped by the idea that English had to sound perfect or not at all. But here's someone speaking it, mistakes and all, without shame. And suddenly you realize, perfection isn't the goal. Connection is. The bench doesn't feel so cold anymore. The morning doesn't feel so heavy. For the first time in a long while, English doesn't feel like a wall. It feels like a bridge, and the first shaky step across that bridge? It has already been taken. Small talk grows. Once the ice cracks, words begin to trickle out, slowly, like drops of warm coffee filling a cup. You ask, you like book? The grammar is clumsy, the accent uneven, but the stranger doesn't flinch. They nod, smiling, and answer, yes. I like it very much. And just like that, the dam breaks. The two of you begin tossing simple words back and forth, as if playing a game of catch with soft rubber balls. Weather. Coffee. The park. Nothing dramatic, nothing complicated, just the little bricks of language that build everyday life. Just the little bricks of language that build everyday life. Here's the funny thing. Linguists say small talk isn't really about information. It's about synchronizing. Every "how are you" and "nice weather" is like a handshake for the brain. With each exchange, your neurons learn, we are safe. We are connected. Of course, your sentences wobble like a baby's first steps. You forget words. You switch back to gestures when your brain freezes. At one point, you accidentally say, "I cold," instead of, "I am cold," and heat rushes to your cheeks. But the stranger just laughs softly, not at you, but with you. And laughter is the best glue. It sticks the moment together, reminding you that mistakes aren't cracks, they're windows. The conversation stretches longer than you expect. 5 minutes. 10. Each word feels like climbing a hill, but at the same time, you're surprised by how much ground you cover. The park fades into background noise. The cold doesn't matter. What matters is that your English is alive, out in the world, wobbling and walking, just like you, and for the first time, you're not walking it alone. The power of encouragement. At some point, your voice cracks on a word. It comes out crooked, twisted like a bicycle wheel that's hit too many curbs. You freeze, embarrassed, ready to retreat into silence again. But then, something unexpected, the stranger leans forward slightly, still smiling. Your English, they say slowly, is good. Your first instinct is disbelief. Good? No way. Broken, messy, awkward, yes. Good? Impossible. You shake your head, but they insist, really. You speak. That is important. And here's the science. Encouragement is not just sweet words. Neuroscientists have proven that praise boosts dopamine, the same chemical your brain releases when you eat chocolate or win a game. Encouragement doesn't just make you feel better, it rewires your brain to keep going. It's like your nervous system gets a gentle push forward, whispering, "See? Keep moving. It's worth it." You realize how rare this moment is. Most of the time, your inner critic is louder than any teacher. It tells you every mistake is proof you don't belong. But sitting here, on this cold Danish bench, a stranger's voice cuts through that noise. And suddenly, your mistakes feel lighter, less like heavy stones in your pocket and more like stepping stones across a stream. The stranger nods, waiting for your next word. And instead of fear, you feel something different bubbling up. Not perfection. Not confidence, exactly. But courage. Small, stubborn, and warm, you open your mouth again. And this time, your words stumble out, but they don't fall. They fly. A lesson on fear. Fear is a strange teacher. It tells you stories that aren't true but feel real enough to paralyze you. Sitting on that bench, you remember every classroom where your voice shook, every time someone chuckled when you mispronounced th. Those tiny moments carve deep grooves in your brain, grooves that whisper, "Better stay quiet. Better not try." But here's the truth psychologists remind us of: fear isn't a prophecy. It's a memory in disguise. Your brain replays old embarrassments as if they're warnings for the future. It thinks it's protecting you. In reality, it's building a prison out of shadows. Talking to this stranger cracks the prison door. You say something wrong. The world doesn't end. You forget a word. The stranger waits. You laugh, they laugh too. Each mistake becomes proof that the monster in your head, the one that says speaking English will destroy you, doesn't actually exist. Think of fear like a barking dog behind a fence. Loud, scary, convincing. But the moment you step closer, you notice, the fence is locked. The dog can't reach you. Fear barks, but it cannot bite, and right there, on that cold Copenhagen bench, you learn something priceless. English isn't about perfect grammar or flawless pronunciation. It's about daring to be seen. To let your broken words stumble into the world and discover they still carry meaning. Your fear taught you to stay silent. This stranger, this moment, teaches you something better. Fear is loud, but it's not the truth. Connection beyond words. Something shifts. You notice it not in the sentences, but in the spaces between them. The pauses aren't awkward anymore. They're gentle, like the rhythm of waves lapping against a pier. The stranger speaks slowly, you reply clumsily, and somehow it feels enough. Connection isn't built only on words. Anthropologists remind us that over half of communication is nonverbal. The tilt of a head, the curve of a smile, the softness in someone's eyes. Even when your grammar crumbles, your meaning travels across. Like light through cracked glass, it still shines. You talk about coffee, about bicycles, about nothing important at all. Yet it feels important. Because what's really happening isn't vocabulary practice. It's recognition. Two humans, once invisible to each other, are now sharing a slice of existence on a wooden bench in Denmark. The stranger nods when you struggle, laughs when you find the right word, and gestures when you forget. You do the same. The conversation becomes a dance of patience and kindness. And in that dance, you realize something powerful. You don't need perfect English to belong. You just need courage to show up. For weeks, maybe months, English felt like a wall. Cold. Tall. Unclimbable. But now, sitting here, you see it differently. It's not a wall, it's a bridge. And bridges aren't meant to be flawless. They're meant to carry you across. On this bench, with this stranger, you've already taken the first steps. Walking away changed. Eventually, the conversation drifts to a natural pause. The stranger glances at their watch, closes the book, and stands up. You do the same. The bench creaks in relief, as if it, too, has been holding the weight of your doubts all morning. Have a good day, they say in English, their voice calm, unhurried. You echo the words back. They sound simple, ordinary, but in your chest they land like fireworks. For the first time, you hear your own voice not as broken, but as brave. As the stranger walks away, disappearing into the rhythm of Copenhagen streets, something lingers. It's not just their smile. It's the realization that one short meeting, one human connection, can rewire months of fear. Science calls this a corrective experience, a single positive moment strong enough to challenge an old, negative belief. You leave the bench lighter than you arrived. The cold is still there, the city is still gray, but inside, something has shifted. You're no longer the person who sat down ready to quit. You're the person who spoke, who was heard, who dared, and maybe tomorrow, or the next day, your English will wobble again. Maybe you'll still stumble on words. But now you know the secret: mistakes don't erase you. They reveal you. And revealing yourself is how connection begins. So you walk on, carrying not perfection, but possibility. And that, today, is more than enough. A single smile, a shared moment, can rewrite years of fear. English isn't about perfection, it's about courage. Every word you speak is a step forward, every mistake a bridge, not a barrier.